Wait, Cassandra, can you unmute yourself and just test it and see?
They can't unmute themselves.
Oh, Amanda, can you set it so that people can unmute themselves if they need to?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Hello, everybody. This is our first day, so let's just get this all set up real quick so that I can see you. Okay, here we go. All right. Hi, everybody. Everybody's kind of coming in slowly, but welcome to the Insiders membership. Okay, there we go. I can see all of your names. So let's test it. Amanda, can you unmute Cassandra?
I tried. So why don't you can try to
unmute yourself.
I think it works now.
Hey, yes. Okay, perfect. I didn't know you were coming. You're going to be my dummy for the day. You're going to be my example.
I'm so excited to be here. I might have to be like intermittent. I have my 9 twins in the other room, but I'm glad to be here.
It's totally fine. Okay, so first of all, welcome everybody. This is our first live training, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we're going to do these live trainings so that you have some background, and then we're just going to jump in. So the actual training portion of this is about an hour, depending on the topic that we're talking about. It's going to be about an hour. It really helps me if you guys are on camera. I seriously do not care what you're doing. I was in a mastermind recently and people were in their car. People were like cooking dinner. It's totally fine. But talking to a blank screen is really hard. You can be folding your laundry. I do not care. And the way we're going to do these trainings is in general, for the first training of the month, it's always going to be topic based. So we're going to go over something and it's always going to be something that me and my team are doing like in real time. So we're going to show you today the SEO strategy that we're using. Like I was working on ours this morning. And then I brought in my marketing director too. So I'm going to introduce her in a minute. And the way the trainings are going to look, rather than in the course where you got a PowerPoint and this like very structured kind of more basic step-by-step, we're going to just jump in these trainings and give you like exactly what we're doing so that you have a whole month to go and implement on your own. And so that by the time you get to the Q&A in 2 weeks, if you have trouble implementing whatever we're talking about, you can bring those questions in 2 weeks and say like, I have no idea how to do this one thing. Also, at the end of this hour, I will always stick around if there are extra questions. You know, I want to make sure we get to everyone. So if you have something and you're not able to come in 2 weeks, at the end of this, we'll kind of dive in if you have specific questions. So we'll do Q&A at the end of this and in 2 weeks. And mostly during these trainings, sometimes it's helpful for me to have examples, or like I'll have you guys pull up your site sometimes if you want. You never have to share if you don't want to, okay? But sometimes, you know, when it comes to SEO, I'll say like, let's look at this, let's look at that. And then in your online student portal, we will always give you the background tools of what you need so you don't have to take notes in these sessions. You know, I mean, if you want to, obviously you can. But like if we say, okay, we're going to use this tool, we'll give you a step-by-step on how to use that tool, how to download it, the like very basic things that we don't want to necessarily waste time live on video teaching you how to do. So hopefully that all, hi Christina, oh my gosh, it's so fun to see all these people I know, everybody coming in. And so we are going to talk now. Oh wait, first let me introduce you to Amanda. Amanda, are you on here? Can you turn your camera on? Are you here somewhere?
Here. Yeah. Can you see
okay.
me? Oh, wait.
So just for anyone who doesn't know, which many of you don't necessarily because Amanda's not always on, Amanda is my ride or die background. I don't even know. We don't even have a title. Publicly, we call you my marketing director, but privately, she's my We Voice Memo all day long. So Amanda works for me as my marketing director, but also runs a company called The Passive Practice, which does a lot of the implementation of certain things. So everything we're going to teach you in this membership, you can absolutely DIY. Okay. Like if you have time to do it, we're not going to teach you anything that you need to hire out, because the whole point is that you can do this all by yourself, and we're going to show you how to do it. If you own a giant group practice and you don't want to DIY, Amanda's company is always the one that I tend to recommend, unless there's something you don't know how to do, which sometimes there is. And so if someone says like, I want to hire someone to do all this, I don't have time, then typically Amanda's, first of all, in all these trainings, she does it for me. Obviously, I don't DIY everything for myself because that would be hard. So if you ever need an implementation, I'm just introducing Amanda and I would connect you with her, and that would be totally separate from what this is. But if you ever needed somebody to do it for you, she's a person.
And I'm also a therapist in private practice. So
yeah, she's also a therapist. She also has like 70,000 followers on her therapy Instagram. Like she's the busiest person I know. Has 3 kids. What else? I don't know. Remodeling house.
All the things. All the things.
All the things. Great. All right. We'll come back to you. I'll text you in 3 minutes. Okay. So today we are going to get into SEO. So just kind of by a show of hands, how many of you guys have any sort of SEO strategy going already? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, Kim does. Christina's like kind of. Okay, so I will say I have had like a love-hate relationship with SEO. For my therapy webpage, I like, just for my private practice, I had a very basic Squarespace website that I designed myself and wrote blog posts on, and my SEO actually did pretty well. But I had established that page like 10 years ago. It's been around for a long time. So it just very naturally built its SEO. When I opened Private Practice Pro, which only opened 4 years ago with its own separate web page as opposed to being housed on my therapy website, I had to very quickly increase and improve my SEO in a very different space than what was happening 10 years ago in SEO land, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I don't have like tons and tons of time to devote to this. So we try to spend, I would say, less than an hour a week, which still for a lot of us is way too much time. So, obviously you guys are busy seeing clients. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to walk you through how I'm doing it. That being said, you could say to yourself, I'm going to do this one time a month and do it 1 hour a month. And that would be, I would say that would be like the minimum if you're going to DIY it yourself. And then if you are saying like, I don't want to do this at all, then I would outsource it. But I would probably start by trying to do this just 1 hour a month, or like at least a few hours a quarter. Okay. Okay. So the very first thing that I think is the basic of what's important to know about you and your page is, number one, just being able to say in one sentence who you want the internet to know you as. All right. So we're thinking like therapist in Raleigh who works with young adults with anxiety or something like that. Like I would write it down, whether it's today or another day, what you want the internet to know you as. And that's different than like your niche statement, right? Like when we went through the course, your niche statement is what you're telling referral sources. It's like much more specific and nuanced. You just want to have a real clear understanding, anxiety therapist in Santa Barbara who does X, Y, and Z modality. Then you want to think about, okay, who is the ideal person that is searching for you? So that would be young adult women in Santa Barbara who have X, Y, and Z, right? And I would like make sure you write those 2 things down. Again, you're going to get this all recorded in your portal. So I'm going quickly so that you have everything within an hour. But you could always rewatch this when you're sitting down to do this. And we'll have all sorts of other tools for you. The last thing you really, really want to get clear on is, what is your ideal person searching for? So we're going to talk a little bit about how to figure that out, but also there's a fair amount that you can just extrapolate on your own. You know who the types of clients you are working with. Ideally, you've gone through the course, you've kind of thought a lot about who that ideal person is, but now you want to be thinking, who is that ideal person looking for? What are the likely things that they are putting into Google that are you? And then we're going to talk now about how to put those into your site. But at the most basic level, if that's the only thing you get out of today's training, is you need to go through your website and think, do I have terms on my website that my ideal person is searching for on Google? Because those might be different than the questions that they're asking their doctor for when it comes to a referral or something like that. Does that all make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. Kim's like, yeah, got it. I always like looking at up. This is like the teacher in me. I used to teach at Pepperdine, and my students used to say, I would say, does that make sense? Like 300 times a class, and then they got annoyed by it, I think. Maybe not, but that's what I used to do all the time. Okay, so what we decided on my team, Amanda and I, it's just us, was that one, we were sick of paying for Google ads. So currently I don't have any Google ads. I don't think they're necessarily a bad thing to invest in if you are doing very, very localized ads. So one thing that's kind of shitty that's happened in our space is that if you were to search like therapy, just the word therapy, you're going to see BetterHelp, you're going to see Headspace, you're going to see big tech companies at the very top of those ads. And if you know, like, anything in this space, like, you're seeing those people buy ads on NPR, you're seeing them like everywhere. So sure as shit, like, they are buying ads on the top of Google. So if you are buying ads, what I would really recommend doing is making them very hyper localized to your city. And I personally would recommend working with like a Google Ads specialist so that you're not necessarily spinning your wheels and spending a lot of money. A few years ago, I decided not to use them at all because I felt like for the amount of money we were spending on ads, we weren't seeing the return, but everybody's different. And then the other part is that, like, we're trained really not to look at ads. So like, if you go and Google something and you see all the sponsored posts on top, a lot of times we all skip past those. So what we're going to talk about today is like, how do we get higher on ranking below the ad section, right? So obviously you can buy ad space, but we're going to kind of go over that. So we started using a tool called Keywords Everywhere. Just by like a show of hands, is anyone using Keywords Everywhere now? Anyone? No? Let me look on the other page. Okay, so good. Then I'm not teaching you something you don't already know. I never want to teach you something that you don't know. Okay, Keywords Everywhere is the best thing ever. I love it so, so, so much. Okay, so I'm going to screen share for you all. You're going to see my chaotic number of tabs that are open. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So can you see my screen? Cassandra, you're the first person who pops up on my thing. So can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that when we look is in your portal, you are going to see basically just like a step-by-step instructions on how to install Keywords Everywhere. So I'm not going to go over that today. It will tell you literally exactly what you need to do in order to install Keywords Everywhere. But Keywords Everywhere is a extension, is a Chrome extension, and you are going to go ahead and install it on your computer using the instructions we gave you. And what we're going to do is so once you have installed Keywords Everywhere, you can put it on your toolbar in Google Chrome. It's just an extension. They have a free version. I think that the paid version, Amanda, you could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I want to say the paid version is like $7 a year, right? Or $11 a year. I mean, it's like not expensive.
I use it for my clients and I'm not paying that much. I can't even, I think it's like $10 and I'm using it for, I'm doing hundreds and sometimes thousands of keywords a month, and that's not necessary for anybody here. So
yeah, I mean, it's cheap. Like it's 100% worth the money. And we gave you links to like sign up for, we're not an affiliate or anything, but everything to sign up is in your portal. So once, or you could just Google it. Once you install it, it'll look like this. It'll say keywords everywhere up here on the screen. Now, here's how we use it. It's going to freaking blow your mind. Okay, Cassandra, can you be our dummy? Do you want to be our can you be our example?
Sure. What can I do?
So what I want to know is like when you think about your website and specifically your therapy website, because I know you also have private practice coaching, what are the main terms that you kind of hope that you would rank for in your city?
So I would say millennial women struggling with anxiety in New York, something similar to that.
So, okay, perfect. Okay, so, oh, funny, look, Kelly. She's great. Of course, Kelly, yeah, the other Kelly comes up on top. I'm gonna tell her that. Okay, so when we search millennial women struggling with anxiety in New York, we are going to come up on this Google page, all right? So let's go to, just so we don't make my friend the example, we're going to click on Therapy Her Way. So you would go to the person's website that ranks pretty high on your page or on your keyword search. Then here's where it's going to be crazy. Oh, is this another Kelly? Look how many Kellys are. This is wild. Okay. Then we're going to click on the Keywords Everywhere button. And of course, my keyword is going to be slow. Okay, then here's what you're going to do. Again, we have this mapped out in a step-by-step, so you don't have to remember this exactly. But I typically first will go to Get Top Ranking Pages. It's this one down here. So you'll click on this and then go to Get Top Ranking Pages. Okay, so this is literally the most wild thing. So usually we can see exactly which pages on this website are ranking on Google. So what we know is like her about page is ranking and her FAQ page is ranking. Okay. Oftentimes we're going to search someone else because oftentimes we'll also see is that people's blogs will rank. Not always, but a lot of times. So if we go into this Discovering Destinies, we can see that maybe that one doesn't do it. Let's see. Top, okay, we might organic ranking keywords, top ranking keywords. These pages, it's so interesting. Okay. So hold on, let me pull up a different one. So if we go into her Therapy Her Way about Kelly, we can go into that one page and then we can look at her organic ranking keywords. Oh, whoops, we have to go back to the website. Oh, this is Kelly. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to look at is the organic ranking keywords on this specific page. This is so interesting. Amanda, do you know why it's not pulling one up?
probably has no SEO, or she's not connected to Google Analytics. So like if you are on a website on Squarespace, it's pretty easy, and other ones, but if you haven't asked Google to rank your page, it's not going to show up. So you might want to go to one that we know is already set up with Google Analytics.
Okay, so whose should we go up to? Do you know?
Let me find you a good one that's going to have a ton, and I will. Yeah.
This is actually really good because that means, so what this would tell me by looking at the keywords everywhere for millennial therapist in New York, and if that person is not ranking for those specific keywords, and those are the keywords, and the very first person on the list is not ranking for that, what I would be thinking in that moment is, one, I want my site to be indexed by Google Analytics, and two, that means the competitiveness for those specific keywords isn't too high. So I would make sure that I was looking and adding those keywords to my website. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at addiction therapy in LA, because this is going to be a bigger one that we can look at. So we can see that there's all these sponsored posts up here. And then obviously we're going to get a million treatment centers. But let's pull up one of these treatment centers. And then basically what we're going to go in and do is we're going to spy on them. So we're going to look at their keywords. Sorry, my computer is slowing me down here. Okay, so this is a better example. So if we look at this specific website that's like a treatment center in LA that's ranking highly for addiction treatment in Los Angeles, what we're going to see is the exact pages that they have that rank highest for this search term. So let's say you wanted to rank highly for addiction treatment in LA. You would go in and look and say, okay, their highest ranking page on their entire website is caffeine and antidepressants. So what that would tell you, if you're looking at that, is you want to write a blog post on caffeine and antidepressants. The next one is, are they Anthem and Blue Cross the same? We don't necessarily, like, without looking at the back end of somebody's site, we're not going to know to write blog posts about caffeine and antidepressants or Anthem, Blue Cross, NyQuil side effects, long-term, how does alcohol stay in your system? Like, so basically what you'll go and do is you can look at your competitors' websites and you can already start to see what is making it so that they are ranking higher in their specific search term. So for anyone else, if anyone else wants to be my example, do any of you have a competitor in your space who you feel like ranks highly on Google or has really good search terms that you'd like to see the back end of their website on? You can jump in and turn your audio on so I can hear you, if anyone does. What do you think? Christina, do you have anyone that's ranking highly? Do you want to look at yours? Is your site indexed? I won't make you look at yours. Do you have anyone who's in your space that we could look at? Oh, wait, you'd have to turn on your sound.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I know that there are local therapists in my area. And so it would probably be therapists for anxious moms in Covina, California.
Yeah, let's look. Okay, let's look at, okay, so we're going to automatically see the sponsored posts, obviously. And then we can look at anxiety for anxious moms, Unity Hills, psychotherapy. And then we can go into here and we can look at their top ranking pages. And sometimes you can start this out by looking at first just the keyword in general without necessarily putting in your city. So we see like essentially that the thing that's ranking highest on their page is this grief self-assessment quiz. Now they're not getting a ton of traffic on that, so that might not be a great example for them. But we can also see that some of the bigger pages, let's look at this one. This is the last one we'll do. Sorry, I know this is slow, you guys. Okay, so when we look at this website, we can see that mom support, encouraging independent play, when mommy rage strikes, how to prevent anger and control. So automatically what we're seeing is a ton of potential blog post topics. Now, I am never going to tell you to steal a blog post, all right? Like, obviously we are not in even close of the realm of plagiarism. However, what we do know is, for example, protecting maternal sleep. I'm willing to bet that if you see moms, you have your own independent thoughts about motherhood and sleep that you could easily write a blog post on. And rather than just kind of shooting in the dark and trying to figure out like what you're going to rank or what you're going to write posts on, this is going to give you an idea of the types of terms and search that you could, or types of terms that you could be writing blog posts about. The other setting that I used in Keywords Everywhere is organic ranking keywords. So if we go into that, what we can see is the very specific keywords that this website is ranking for. So mother therapist is a good one here. So what we can see here is that like if you were somebody who was a therapist for moms during the perinatal period, a lot of times what people will write on their websites is perinatal motherhood therapist or perinatal therapy for moms. What we can see on this website that ranks really high in this space is we are not seeing the word perinatal anywhere here. So they're not ranking for that keyword that is a therapy keyword that we would tend to think as therapists like, oh, where that would be something that we normally would kind of like assume. Where are you guys? I have so many windows open. That would be a term that we would normally assume you might rank for. And so what you want to do is just using those two specific windows on Keywords Everywhere, the one, I'm going to go back to it. The one, get top ranking pages, you're going to go and look at this one, especially for the competitors in your niche, figure out what pages and what blog posts they're ranking for, and then you're going to look at their organic ranking keywords. Those two things are going to tell you what keywords you might want to have on your page, and they're also going to tell you what kind of blog posts you might want to have. All right, so that's kind of like your first piece of homework. Download the extension and go and get those two things. Now, once you have a little data set of the specific blog posts and the specific keywords you might use, then what you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to write a couple SEO optimized blogs. So rather than what we might have done in the past, which would be like thinking, what should I write a blog post about this week? Oh, it might be this thing. We're going to write a blog post that we know already somebody has topics on that they're ranking for on Google. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to transition and talk a little bit about how to write these blogs. All right, so if we go into your membership, so you have how to install this, how to use Keywords Everywhere to find them. We gave you a little SEO tracker so that you can track the blogs that you're writing. Then we gave you an outline of specifically how to write SEO optimized blogs. And if you go into this document in your portal, you'll also see a Google Doc link right here. I already have it pulled up. So what we did was we outlined the exact SEO structure that we are using when we're writing our blog posts. So one thing you might consider doing is using, let's see, where'd you guys go? Is using a little bit of ChatGPT. So here's what I'm wondering. Just by a show of hands, how many of you guys are using any ChatGPT now? Is anyone using any? No? Some of you? A little bit? All right. Yes, Emerson is nodding like he's using it. Are you using it?
Oh yeah. It's a huge help.
Okay, so I will tell you, I was so anti ChatGPT. I thought it was like the worst thing ever. But we've been using it for about the last 6 months, and my mind has been totally blown. And here's how. So first of all, what I did was I went into all of my old blog posts. So if you have even one blog post on your website now, okay, what you could do is you could take the template that I just gave you. You literally would copy and paste this entire template, okay? And you would put this into, you could copy this whole thing, put it into ChatGPT, and go in and say, take my old blog post and optimize it for my current structure, and then give it the structure that I gave you. All right, so that would be one way that you could do it. The second thing that you can use ChatGPT for is, let's say that you wanted to write a blog post, but you didn't have any kind of structure or idea yet. So what we could do is we could take this template. I still go edit copy. Do you guys do this? I'm like terrible at using the commands. So what you could do is you could take my ideal optimized thing and say, I want you to help me write a blog post on anxiety with millennial moms and ways to cope using this outline. Please give me an outline of what I need to research. So if you are somebody who doesn't want to use ChatGPT output to just write the blog for you, you could take the outline and you could tell ChatGPT to essentially give you ideas of what you need to research in order to write a blog in this topic. Okay, that's step number one if you're somebody who prefers doing their own research. Step number two, if you're somebody who's like, you know what, I'm all in on ChatGPT, I want to use it, you could say, write this blog post for me, and then it would go ahead and write it for you. All right. The only issue with doing this is a few things. So if anyone is, more familiar with ChatGPT, as you go through using ChatGPT, you are going to be training it on how you write. So because you are specifically looking at my ChatGPT, it's pretty familiar with my website, with my writing style. So it's going to kind of bring in some of my own writing. So as you go through it, you might have to give it specific terms, or you might have to say, I want you to write with a more conversational tone. I want you to write at a certain reading level and that sort of thing. The other major factor that we have to talk about when we talk about ChatGPT is obviously accuracy. So what I usually suggest doing if you're going to use ChatGPT is to use it as a starting point. So you are going to produce, it's going to come out with some level of output like this. And then what you would do is you would say, okay, this is in kind of an SEO optimized format, but you need to go in and change it based on your practice, the way that you work, what you know about the current research. So you wouldn't necessarily use this output, but what you could do is you could kind of tweak it and look at it and decide, okay, how can I change this? So for example, when I write blog posts like this, I might use this and put it on one document to the side, and then I might actually just rewrite the whole thing using this as somewhat of a loose guide. But the other thing that you can do is you can just take this specific outline and not use any AI, if you're like, I don't want to use AI at all, and walk through it exactly as it's laid out in this Google Doc for you. So a few things that you want to make sure that you're doing are, number one, you want to make sure that your blog title has keywords in it. So whether you are looking at those keywords everywhere topics, or whether you are looking at potential blog topics from some of your competitors, you're obviously not going to use the same title as them or anything like that, but you want to make sure that your blog title has a primary keyword in here. And sometimes people will even use a couple primary keywords depending on like the theme of your post. And then you want to follow this exact outline. So you're going to start with a compelling statement. And what we did was we went ahead and gave you some of these hook ideas for right here. So I will email this to you. Where is this? I have so many different things. So what I went ahead and did is I gave you topic ideas. So essentially what you could do is you could plug in the keywords that you are trying to rank for into some of these topics. So you would say, why is it so challenging for millennial moms to cope with anxiety? Okay, obviously that's not a super complex topic, but this will give you kind of the foundation so that you are able to plug in keywords there. Then we also gave you the hook so that you could plug in your keywords here. So within the top few lines, you are able to tell Google, okay, this is what this specific blog post is about. Does that make sense? Are you guys all following so far? Yeah, good. Okay, perfect. Then you are going to make sure that you're using all these exact things. You're going to have a subheading. You're going to talk about your client's pain points. Throughout the entire article, you want to make sure that you are sprinkling in some of those primary and secondary keywords. And you want to make sure that you are putting links in and links out. So if you have ever looked at somebody else's blog posts, oops, sorry, I shifted back to myself. You know that, like, let's say you go on some really popular blogs. They have, hey, one thing that people struggle with anxiety is X, Y, or Z symptom, and they'll link to an article about those specific symptoms. One thing that I love to do is actually to connect to research articles from research databases on specific symptoms, because essentially what you're doing with SEO is you're building this giant web and you're telling the internet, I'm a hub for anxiety, or I'm a hub for millennial moms in Orange County, or something like that. And so you're going to bring links in from other websites into your blog posts. You also, which people often forget, is internal links. You want to make sure that you have some links that link back to other pages on your website. So if you are writing a blog post and you write a blog post about another similar topic, you want to link to that other blog post within your specific blog, if that makes sense. You want to make sure also, which a lot of times people forget, is whether you have a Squarespace website or a WordPress website, you want to make sure that you are putting in this meta description. And one really great thing is that you can use ChatGPT to write the meta description. So sometimes people have a hard time keeping their meta description to 150 to 160 characters. And you can actually say, hey, ChatGPT, read this blog post that I just wrote and write me a meta description using these specific keywords. Give me some alternative image titles, give me some URL, potential URL slug, and it will give you some output, which also really helps with that. Let's see. Amanda, am I missing anything on this one? If you want to jump in at all.
Sorry.
Can you
On
hear me?
blog post, I can hear you.
Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to add to this? I feel like you and I talk about this all the time.
I had texted you just when you're looking for high ranking keywords on the right hand side, you'll see what is trending right now. Sometimes you'll see like the percentage is lower. I would use some of the ones that are like currently trending and then keep an eye on that, like have a list of those keywords and then update your website. So like next month, you can take that same blog and add in some different keywords, and that's going to be helpful for SEO as well.
Okay, yeah, I totally forgot
Without
about that.
changing the whole blog.
Where am I not finding it? Where is that one?
Organic ranking, either one, keywords or URL. You can, yeah.
Where? Wait, can you tell me where the button for that one is?
So it's right here. So on the right-hand side, see how motherhood therapy is 2%. It's not negative. And therapy for moms near me is 19%. So I would focus on those as your main long tail keywords.
Oh,
and then some of the negative ones like mom well, mother therapist, those are lower ones. But still keep those in a list. Like always have these in a list and like you know, interchange them in your blogs, because updating keywords on blogs that you've already written can be just tells Google that you're updating your content and they will rank you. And then also the other thing is just a reminder, like if you have not submitted your website to Google Analytics and asked Google to rank your pages, none of this will matter. So it's really easy to do on Squarespace. There is, I can put the link if you want in Thrivecart of like the step-by-step guide they give you. And then if you're not on Squarespace, you know, other websites should also have the same step-by-step guide.
Yes, absolutely. And it's easy to do. Like you can go in, this could take you less than an hour, and you can go in and make sure you set up your Google Analytics for absolutely for sure. All right, so this is not pulling it up really fast. My Zoom is never quite as fast. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take questions about this specific topic. I know we went through it really fast. I wanted to make sure we showed you kind of the entire process of how we do it. So let's see if we can pull up the gallery view. And if you guys want to go ahead, first, let's just answer questions specifically about this topic, and then we'll move into if you have questions in general. All right, wait, I can't see you guys for a minute. Sorry, it's just pulling you up. All right, who has a question? Okay, Haley. You can unmute yourself. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay, perfect.
So with the keywords app, my question was with the paying for a subscription or whatever it is with it, I was just looking at them. So I don't know, for like a smaller practice, I mean, they have the one that's like $6 a month. That's like 2,000 keywords versus doing 5,000 keywords. Does it matter for something like that?
With like the absolute smallest one for like a solo practice. I can't remember. Did they give you the option of a free one too?
I'll have to look. I don't. Let's see. Choose an annual.
Either way, I would go with the absolute cheapest one for a solo practice, because unless you know, sometimes like, I don't know about you, but the first time I learned about this, I like spent, I don't even know, a couple hours looking at all of my competitors' websites and was shocked by what they were ranking for that I wasn't writing on. But my guess is that you're not going to be able to do the volume of search to like meet a higher level.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. I figured that would make sense. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Kim. Wait, where'd you go, Kim? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, sorry. I probably know the answer, but just kind of confirming that SEO can be also throughout our web pages, how we're putting keywords in our content, but I'm hearing still a lot about blogs. And is that still the highest way to, or easiest to get our SEO going versus focusing on the content in our pages?
So I would say, and Amanda, I'm going to let you jump in on this too, that first and foremost, and this, like, we went through our blog strategy today, but certainly there's way more strategy that we could talk about. You want to make sure that in your headlines and in your subheads on your website that you are absolutely using keywords. And I don't know, how many of you are using Squarespace in particular? You just raise your hands. Yeah, okay, so a lot of you. So Squarespace, first of all, has something called SEO Space, which if any of you guys are using Squarespace, I would definitely get SEO Space because it helps with a lot of this. I think Amanda just put the link in the chat, right? For SEO Space.
Setting up your, I'll put the link for SEO Space. That is actually for setting up your Google Analytics and being able to get ranked on Google, but I'll put SEO Space next.
Yeah, so, and you guys can grab those. We'll also email all this out afterward. But if you're using Squarespace, that will really help with all of that. And yes, I would at first focus on making sure that you are using keywords in your headlines, in your sub headlines, which in, Squarespace, it makes it pretty obvious because it says like H1, H2 headlines. And then if you had somebody design your website, you could also give them those terms. And then I would focus on your blogs second to that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree, Amanda?
Yeah, so I always say first and foremost that the content on your page obviously has to have keywords, but more importantly is it needs to speak to your ideal client. So if you're keyword stuffing your homepage and it's confusing and your ideal client is like, what does this person actually do for me? You're not actually going to have any conversion. You might rank higher, but people are going to be like, this doesn't make sense. So it's a fine balance between the two. That's where blogs come in because you can kind of put any keywords in blogs without, impacting your authentic voice and your message on your homepage. But I did add SEO Space, and you can actually, they do offer a free audit, but I have SEO Space. So if anybody here today wants to email admin, I'll just send you over like a free SEO audit, and it'll tell you exactly on what page you're missing keywords or where you can improve it to anybody here today. So, and I can do that.
Good idea.
Sorry.
So you'll just email them.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is there a similar scan or something? I have a WordPress site, so
yeah. WordPress is like SEMrush. There's a bunch of different ones that you can use. SEO Space, Squarespace does not hook up to SEMrush, so somebody created SEO Space, so it's the same thing. So you should be able to hook it up to you. It actually should be in your WordPress platform on your, just main page. They should have a link that says like connect to SEMrush or Google Monster. I think there's another one too. There's a few of them.
There's one called, I used my actual current site is WordPress right now. And I used SEMrush, SEMrush, and Monster Insights. And it does a lot of the same stuff. And it has a keyword search on it. It might take a minute to familiarize yourself with the dashboard. Keywords Anywhere will also work on a WordPress site. And on WordPress, SEO I find that it's a little bit trickier than it is on a Squarespace site, but it's certainly doable. And there's also one called Yoast, but I like I like SEMrush better.
Okay, I think I have Yoast now, so
yeah,
I'll talk to my web
too.
designer. Okay.
And a little extra tip on ChatGPT, there is a GPT called Yoast SEO, and you can actually put in your blogs and your keywords. And use that one, but I will tell you, you're going to have to rewrite it because it's just straight SEO. But if you don't care, and you just want to throw up like 8 blogs for SEO, it's helpful.
I mean, yeah. And in general, like a lot of these keywords everywhere has a ChatGPT extension. Like you can go very deep into all of this in using a lot of AI, just depending on how comfortable you are with it. And I will say, like, this is obviously my like very personal opinion, and Amanda, these are the things Amanda and I talk about all day long, so we might have a difference of opinion on this. I tend to rewrite everything because I have a little bit of a paranoid worry that eventually like Google will be smart enough to know like what is written as AI and what isn't. So I tend to have the AI document on one doc, and then I will rewrite a document in my own words, in my own terms with, you know, obviously I'm not always the best speller. If you follow me, you probably know that. Like, and I will kind of like mirror it, but everybody's different. You know, some people will say like they'll go actually into the actual document and make changes. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. That might be a little paranoid of me. Who knows? Okay, who else has a question? Any other questions about specifically this? Does it all make sense? Do you feel like you guys, is this something like you guys could actually feel like, okay, I'm going to sit down and do this? Yeah. Okay. So, and I would say, you know, obviously when I've taken trainings like this before and I've had something like this thrown at me, it feels like a lot at first, but really it is about just making a little bit of progress on this. So you go in, you search maybe one of your competitors' websites, you find one or two blog topics that look like, you know, something that you want to rank for. Then you go into the template for SEO optimized blogs, you write a blog for it. If you just do one this month before we meet again in a month, that's good enough, you know? And if you go in and try it in the next couple weeks before we meet for the Q&A and you're like, I don't know if I did this right, I'm not sure, I have questions, then bring it to the Q&A and we'll walk through all of it. So that's good. All right, just in general, if anyone has any other like totally random questions, not about this, about marketing your practice, about where you're at in your practice, throw them up. If you have questions, now's the time.
I'm sorry, my reception's bad, so if I sound like a robot, that's why.
Fine. Don't.
Actually, it may relate to the prior topic too, but I had a colleague that said you need to put lots and lots of words on your web page, your first web page when you pull it up, just lots of words, because I guess it had something to do with SEO. It's more likely to pull your page up. And my fiance and I, she's got her MBA, and we were both like, oh man, it's a little overwhelming when people do that. But if that's what you got to do, I guess that's what you got to do. Is that the case?
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
See,
no.
That's what I thought, you know?
Yeah. Don't do that. That's like what we call keyword stuffing. That's kind of what Amanda was just talking about. So you'll see websites, and like typically they're like old school websites that just have like, you might remember this from like 4 or 5 years ago, that at the bottom of the main homepage has like tons of just words listed. Google like is a bajillion-dollar company. They are smarter than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't, like, first of all, it looks terrible to your ideal client. Second of all, it doesn't work. So, and really, 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 truly, Google also cares about how long people are spending on your page. There are tools specifically, and I can look them up for a Q&A, that you can tell how long people are spending on each section of your website. Like, you know, and it'll kind of bring up like a hotspot. Like, this is how long people are spending. Google knows all of that. They know what people are reading by how much time they're spending on it, what the readability of your page is. So absolutely, we are not suggesting that you like go in and stuff a ton of keywords into your page, but rather that you use the words that you have well. So you might have used a synonym for a specific keyword, but because you now know that rather than saying perinatal mental health, we're saying therapy for moms, because that's what people are actually searching for. You know, obviously you have to do more research on that specific thing. You're just going to change out one word that's going to make a difference. Don't stuff them all on your webpage. But if you write 5 blog posts and they have different specific keywords spread throughout, that's good. But you really want to focus on readability, because if people are not reading it, it doesn't matter, right? Google's looking just like on Instagram, just look like on every other, Pinterest, which is also a search engine. We are looking for like, what are people reading? Does that make sense? Yeah, so don't do that.
Yeah. That makes sense. I appreciate that. I did a search for men's issues because that's one of my core niches, and I popped up pretty highly. But I'm gonna have to look at depression, anxiety, see where I can fit there. But this is super helpful. Thank you. I don't know about anybody else, but it's like, oh, Kelly, talk to like a superstar.
I'm so excited to be with you guys. It's fun because I've met Christina one-on-one a couple times, and it's fun to actually like see you guys. And if there's did anyone else have a specific question about your practice? You can ask it. Megan, did you? Yeah.
I was ready. I unmuted. I just recently kind of niched down in the last couple months and updated my website and trying to just figure out like what I probably need to niche even more, but how would I go about maybe like looking to like a website audit? Because like I get the blog stuff, but at this point I'm kind of like, I want to make sure like my website is really like doing well on its own before I kind of like, for me, like the blog posts are kind of like next tier, but I'm like, I want to make sure like my first tier is like solid. Right. Is that something that like, I don't know.
So are you specifically thinking like do you want a tool that's doing that for you? Like that you can look at the analytics behind it, or are you saying you want a person to go in and do it?
A human.
Yeah. So either Amanda or I could do that for you. We try not to like upsell in these calls. Obviously we want to just give you whatever. But if you want to send us an email, we have like 2 different price points depending on which one of us is doing it, mostly because I have little kids, but we could spend time looking at your website, and probably what we would do is we would record it as a Loom. Do you know what a Loom? It's like we would put our head in the corner, and then we could go page by page through your website and give you thoughts. Oftentimes people have a very specific question. Like obviously it's hard to do like the SEO versus the on-page content versus, so it's helpful for us to have a very specific idea about what you would want us to look at, like 3 pages or blogs or your homepage design or that kind of thing. But if you just email us, then we can send you over details for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Who else has a question? Anyone? Am I missing anyone? Kim? No? Yes? Yeah, Kim, tell us. For some reason there we go. Okay.
I know. Can you hear me? Sorry. And this might be an upcoming topic, but the Google business profile, having a lot of issues with them being able to list my address here because it's a shared space, and wondering if you have a connect to talk to like not a robot person, Google business profile world.
Are they just rejecting it, or what are they doing?
Yeah, even though I do a video, because my business license isn't attached to the address, because my name isn't permanently on the building, it's gone up. So I was just wondering if you've had any.
Have you done the thing where they send you a postcard?
No.
There's so I would have to look at it more specifically, but there is an option where they can send you a postcard to that address, and then you have to confirm this code on the back of the postcard. I think it's verify by mail or something like that, which sounds really janky, but I actually think that's the easiest. I've had that situation a couple times in different offices I've had with shared office space. The other thing is sometimes they ask you to submit documentation. So I know in one of my offices, what they did was the main leaseholder in the office space, because I was just subletting, I was on her insurance, her slip and fall insurance, which ultimately a landlord is supposed to put you on their insurance, or you could also submit your insurance. So if you have malpractice and then you have an extra slip and fall policy, which you don't necessarily have to, but some people do. A lot of times you can list your address on there, and then they'll take that as supporting documentation when you like submit a what do you call it? A request. Are you seeing clients in that office?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you like submitted an appeal or anything?
Yes.
And
they keep coming back. They're like, well, if somebody shows up and knocks on the door, are you going to be there? And I'm like, I don't think you understand what therapy is. Like, I don't, so I was thinking maybe I need to talk to somebody in marketing, because the Google business profile chain of command is not.
Yes, though. I would answer yes to that question if they ask you that. Or if somebody comes and knocks on the door, are you going to show up? I would say yes to that. Because at any given time, the answer is yeah. I mean, they would push your call button or leave you something,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not totally luck, but I would definitely answer yes if it were me. Cool. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys, I have 2 questions for you, just so I know. So a couple things. One step that we will do with blog posts sometimes, a second step to this, is once a blog post is written, we will put it onto Pinterest. We might put it onto Instagram. We might drive traffic to that blog post through social media. So by a show of hands, does anyone interested in having a training on how to do that? You give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Thumbs up. Okay. And then next, so we have a live Q&A in 2 weeks. There is a portal that you can submit questions ahead of time. It's really helpful to me if you submit some of them ahead of time. If you have a more complex question, just so that I can make sure if it's a more complex answer, I actually know the answer, versus like thinking of the answer in real time. If not, you can also just bring your questions to the live. And then our training for next month is supposed to be about the holidays, which sounds like a totally different type of training than this one, but there's like, if you're thinking in terms of getting referrals, there's a lot of ways to like leverage holiday marketing around that. But I want to make sure that you guys are getting the training you need. So can you give me a thumbs up? Like, is that something you would benefit from or not? Yeah. Okay. So next month we will do holiday, and then I also will probably just throw in a bonus training, because we didn't get to it today, about Pinterest and how we're using that, and we can record it and also send it to you guys. So, all right. If anyone has any last things, we're done with this now. If anyone wants to stay on Zoom and has any last questions, feel free. But if not, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks from now. It was so nice to meet everyone. Bye.